know the spiritual meaning of your placenta? And once you find out about those things, you will never leave your placenta at the hospital.
Let me break this down for you. Most people don't even realize childbirth has become a soulless business. Because if people actually knew what was going on in those delivery rooms, they would not have kids again.
That a C-section birth costs 77% more than a natural delivery. But the real money isn't even made from the birth, it's made from the placenta, the richest source of stem cells. Word has it, a single placenta and its components are sold for $50,000 on the low end.
So now you're getting a C-section. When you get the C-section, guess what that stopped? That stopped the baby from coming through the canal. Do you know how much bacteria that's in your vaginal canal and that's in your anus that baby truly needs?
So, I have this dark conspiracy theory about placentas in the hospital. So, I was watching this video yesterday. This woman, she was talking about how a nurse was asking her where her placenta went, and how multiple nurses were coming in and out of her room multiple times looking for something. And then they finally asked her personally what they were looking for, if she had it or if she knew where it was, and it was her placenta, right? And when she told the nurse that she took it home, someone that she knows took it home or whatever, it's not in the hospital anymore, something like that, she said the nurse got so angry at her. And she asked her if she filled out the paperwork for it, and the lady said, well, the doctor told me, or didn't mention any paperwork or anything like that. So the nurse never came back with any paperwork. I don't think she spoke to her much after that. But I had a conspiracy after hearing that story. I was like, because we know that some of the worst people are in higher power, like the police, the government, priests, people like that. So I was thinking about nurses and doctors and how some nurses could possibly be witches. And we've heard stories like this before. If you haven't, there's plenty of stories on TikTok about it. But I think that they keep the placenta and they eat it to keep them young, to keep them flourishing, to keep them alive on this earth. As we know, vampires exist. We hear stories about that shit all the time in New Orleans. I don't know. It's just a theory, though. But, what if there really is witches in these hospitals so they can get a hold of blood and eat the placenta? Because we all know it has a lot of nutrition and shit in it, so I don't know.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at it.
Do something with it.
It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in all day. Money coming in all paid. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me.
Hey y'all, welcome back to All Things Jenny. I'm Jenny. Do you know the spiritual meaning of your placenta? And once you find out about those things, you will never leave your placenta at the hospital ever again after giving birth to your precious, precious child that you carried for 9 months and nourished through your body for 9 whole months. Let's get into it because these are things that you probably didn't even know. Okay, let's get into it.
Listen to this.
Have you heard of the C-section conspiracy? This one is wild. Not only is it mind-blowing because it's a major surgery that involves physically cutting open a woman's abdomen and uterus, but if you think about it, it doesn't even make sense because females across all species have the natural ability to give birth, and babies born by C-section are more likely to have breathing problems and develop chronic diseases like childhood onset diabetes, allergies, and asthma. But here's where it gets really crazy. Back in 1965, cesarean births only accounted for 4.5% of all births. Today, 1 in 3 women are giving birth birth by C-section. That's over a 600% increase in 60 years. In fact, it's now the nation's most common operating room procedure. Granted, C-sections can be life-saving for the mother or child in high-risk situations. These circumstances do not account for even close to 1/3 of all births. In fact, the nation's leading professional obstetric societies state that women and babies don't even benefit from this increase in C-sections, and they even claim that they're overused. Now, why would this be? Well, if you know me, I like to follow the money. A quick Google search will tell you that a C-section birth costs 77% more than a natural delivery. But the real money isn't even made from the birth, it's made from the placenta, the richest source of stem cells. Word has it, a single placenta and its components are sold for $50,000 on the low end, and the value of all afterbirth products could be valued at somewhere around $500,000. And while hospitals can still obtain a placenta by a natural delivery, word has it that they're less valuable because they're contaminated and contain less amniotic fluid when compared to a C-section birth. Oh, and because of this act, unfortunately, you can't even get paid for your own placenta. Only hospitals can.
Okay, I saw this and I am just going to share my personal story about what happened to me after my second child's birth. I mean, she came out super fast, super easy delivery. Everything went perfectly fine. Then I had quite literally 4 droves of people come into my room, searching for something. Now, when I had my baby, my doula was there. She had her cooler and she told the doctor, hey, I'll be taking the placenta. The doctor and her had exchanged. She said, okay, you have a cooler for it? All right. So then after I birthed the placenta, she gave my placenta to the doula and my doula was off. Normal conversation. I'm really confused on what happens next. So all these people are searching my room. Finally, I'm getting a little creeped out. I'm like, what are you guys looking for? And they tell me, oh, we misplaced a specimen. I'm like, huh? What does that even mean? What is a specimen? Did you misplace somebody's organs in my room? Is there somebody else's body parts in my room that aren't mine? How do you even misplace a specimen? I got a little shooken up. I'm like, I'm a little creeped out. What? Okay. But they didn't tell me what exactly they were looking for. They just said it's a specimen. So finally, after about the 5th, wave of people, the nurse comes up to me and she goes, did you take your placenta? I said, yeah, my doula took it. She had a cooler or whatever. She talked to the doctor. They exchanged. The doctor handed it to her. And then I looked at her and she looked so pissed off. I have never seen somebody's face just change like that. I was like, is there a problem? I was like, is that what you guys have been looking for this entire time? I was like, because you literally could have just asked the doctor who gave my doula my placenta instead of searching my room like I'm a criminal or something, which my placenta came out of me. So it, by default, belongs to me. And she goes, oh, well, did you fill out the paperwork that says you can take it? I said, well, that's funny. The doctor never mentioned any paperwork. I said, but you can go ahead and get whatever you need me to sign because I'm taking my placenta and I already took it. My doula's got it and it's gone. So, and lo and behold, she never came back with any paperwork. So that's creepy. And I don't know why they were so pissed off I took my own placenta, but I am convinced that they sell those things on the black market for money, because why are you mad someone took their own organ? Weird. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
C-section is spiritual warfare. But how is C-section even spiritual warfare? You mean besides the fact that women in the hospital birth system are treated as factory farmed cattle, drugged and pumped in and out as fast as possible to maximize profit, the baby's at a massive increased risk for asthma, anemia, allergies, and a weak immune system born via cesarean, the fact that a cesarean takes about 45 minutes as opposed to 12 to 24 hours for a vaginal birth and is double the profit? You mean the fact that mom and baby's bonding and breastfeeding relationship is massively impacted? Or that mom is treated like a science experiment? You mean that now mom's care is almost completely dropped off and no one cares when she has this major abdominal surgery and she's expected to just get back to normal, be on her feet, clean, take care of a baby, work, whatever it is? Risk of hemorrhage is 3 times higher with cesarean. Probably need to do a part 2 for C-section.
Let me tell you why you need to avoid a C-section. Stop taking them as something that's so common, it's routine, it's okay. Are you getting the real information about what C-sections can cause later in your life? My name is Mariah. I'm a birth empowerment coach and I've been a labor and delivery nurse for more than 14 years, but I also do other things. I'm the creator of Dysfunctional Labor Maneuvers for Birth Professionals, and I'm a body worker that specializes in fascial release maneuvers. One of the reasons I do this is to prevent C-sections, and here's why. There's some pretty obvious reasons that mothers don't want C-sections. They don't want to be separated from their baby. They don't want to have bonding issues with their baby. They don't want to have breastfeeding issues with their baby. Many mothers are focused on what happens at the birth when it comes to C-section. And one of the things I want you to demand when you have a C-section is skin-to-skin contact in that OR. Do not let them take your baby to a nursery. Only if they're going to the NICU. That is it. You need to be holding your baby in the OR as soon as possible after delivery. But now let's go beyond the birth. Let's go into your next birth. Now, some women, they get told, you can VBAC, it'll be okay. Let me tell you something, it's only a 10% rate of women that actually have a vaginal birth after cesarean. Most end up in a repeat C-section. The other thing that could happen that you're probably not getting told about is something called an accreta. This is when the placenta doesn't just grow on the wall of the uterus, it starts to grow through the uterus and can even grow into other parts of your body. This is a serious situation. In the instance of the placenta accreta that grows through the uterus and into the body is called a percreta. And the number one reason accretas occur is from prior cesareans. The type of accreta that grows through the body, when you deliver your baby, it will have to be by cesarean and you will lose your uterus. You'll have to have a hysterectomy after they deliver your baby via C-section. You see, because your placenta does attach to your organs, such as your bladder, your intestines, they're gonna have to spend their time making sure they detach it from your organs very carefully to minimize the amount of damage that that would cause. So they really just cannot take that placenta and work on getting it out of the uterus. So both have to go. So the safest thing to do is a hysterectomy. The risks of this happening are 7%. Now that might seem low, but if it happened to you, would you really care about the 7%?
Why do you feel most people have switched from home births to scheduled C-sections?
I don't think individuals are doing that. I think the society, it's more convenient and more profitable to schedule it. You know, doctor wants to go home for dinner, so they're just scheduling it. So they want to give them an epidural, and then they want to induce birth, get them in and get them out. And, you know, we had a home birth outside the hot spring, and it was just beautiful experience where, you know, my wife really got to experience the birthing, and the midwife was there and the doula was there. You know, it was magical. People have been giving birth, all species have been giving birth since the beginning of time, however, whatever calendar you want to have. So it's only in this country where they want to deliver in a sterile environment, you know, and they want to do it fast. And so the amount of 30% C-sections in this country is much higher than anywhere else in the world.
When a child passes through the birth canal in a normal vaginal delivery, that child is anointed with the seeds, the bacterial seeds, the viral seeds of his or her future microbiome. The bacteria, the viruses, the other organisms that invest that child and determine various functions of that child when he's an adult or she's an adult. The set point of immune reactivity, for example, that the immune system receives a significant degree of programming from the gut bacteria. And the differences in the bacteria in the gut between a C-section born child and a vaginally delivered child are significant. We know that changes in the array, the functionality and diversity of the gut organisms relate to things like diabetes, obesity, and even risk for autoimmune conditions. Having said that, what the science reveals is there's a pretty significant increased risk of autoimmune conditions in children born by cesarean section. There's a dramatic increased risk of autism, ADHD, and autoimmune conditions like celiac disease and type 1 diabetes in C-section born children as opposed to children born vaginally.
And the research is out there on this.
Research has been published for at least 15 years.
Okay, so I don't believe C-sections are evil. I believe unnecessary C-sections are evil. Why put a woman through that traumatic experience because you trying to go home? Why put a woman through that experience because she's not having the baby fast enough? And some institutions even set it up where the medication that they're giving that isn't really needed is adding to how long she takes the hospital system. They don't want the woman to eat during labor and delivery. They don't want her to move around. They want her to just stay stationary, which makes, having the baby take longer. They don't want her to sit in water. The hospital system is geared and it's built to cut that woman open. When it's needed, and it's necessary, and thank God for it. But when it's not needed, it's a level of trauma that women shouldn't go through.
So now you're getting a C-section. When you get the C-section, guess what that stopped? That stopped the baby from coming through the canal. Do you know how much bacteria that's in your vaginal canal and that's in your anus that baby truly need to help jumpstart that so-called immunological system? So the baby automatically missed that part when you pull the baby from his stomach. And you can Google the studies yourself. Google the scholarly government studies on babies that's prone to have disease, prone to have IBS, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, all types of anemia, mineral deficiencies that was born of C-sections due to the babies that came through the birth canal and how much stronger they are and their life expectancy and how they live longer. Of course, we got to worry about trauma, getting hit by cars and all of that. But I'm talking about living longer without traumatic death or without being ejected from this vehicle that we call the avatar of the body. They actually live way longer than babies that had babies that was born by way of C-section. Why is that? Because they are lined with the microbiome kingdom and network that's going to help them facilitate a longer lifestyle. These are facts, y'all.
Thank you to the New York Times for highlighting this article. This is a really important study. It's 2024 and we're still having this struggle in the medical industry. This is one of the many reasons why there is a high mortality rate among Black women before, during, and after childbirth. This is one of the reasons why I don't see color is not a valid statement for providers, for anyone to make, because when you don't see color, you don't see the individual, you don't hear what they're saying to you in a medical setting, you're misdiagnosing and you're giving them unnecessary surgeries. Thank you so much for highlighting this article. I wrote an article about Black women having unnecessary C-sections about a year and a half ago. So I'm glad they are highlighting this. I'm glad that they're bringing awareness to this so the general public is aware of it. Thank you so much for highlighting this article. It's really disturbing that in 2024, doctors, which have a standard of care for their patients, are giving unnecessary surgeries to Black women. This needs to be fixed. This is what we talk about when we talk about systemic racism. Let's address these issues, America.
They're called C-sections because they're cesareans, named after Julius Caesar.
Oh.
Because his mother was having trouble giving birth, and so they took him out of her womb.
Does she survive?
I don't think so. They usually didn't. In the ancient world, they usually would take the baby instead of the mother.
Let me break this down for you. Most people don't even realize childbirth has become a soulless business. Because if people actually knew what was going on in those delivery rooms, they would not have kids again. Because psychologically, we've been conditioned to believe that giving labor is an immediate emergency, as if now pushing a baby out has suddenly become outdated. Because the truth is, natural labor takes time, and there's no money in patience, which means hospitals now push for interventions and last-minute surgeries to justify doing a C-section. Not because it's necessary, but because it's quicker, easier to schedule, and generates way more revenue. And what that means is, this was never about the protection of the mother or the child. This is about being rushed, cut, and billed.
So what is the spiritual meaning of keeping your baby's placenta and or consuming it, or even turning it into capsules and taking it? Now, in different cultures and religion, people do different things with the baby's placenta, right? Because I remember reading this book where it talks about some cultures they actually bury the baby's placenta under an orange tree. And some people actually consume their baby's placenta, and some actually turn it into actual capsules so they can take. Now, I remember watching an episode of The Kardashians where when Kim had her firstborn, what's her name, North, she ended up saying that she wanted to take the placenta home and or keep the placenta so she can turn it into capsules so she can take. And a lot of people have actually used placentas for different reasons. So let's talk about the placenta. I'm actually talking about this because of the video that I came across a while back about how hospitals and or doctors overuse the C-section, giving women C-sections through birth. And a lot of this is very, very spiritual in my opinion. So we're going to discover everything about the placenta and why certain cultures actually consume their placenta, their baby's placenta, and or use it in different capsules for different medicine, right? And or plant the placenta. So I have this book. I don't remember which book it is, but I do have it somewhere in my collection of books, that in some cultures, and I believe it's an African culture, where you can plant your baby's placenta with a brand new orange tree, which then will it's like a ritual that you do to ensure that your baby have a bright future. And a lot of times people do different rituals with their baby's placenta so they can tie good fortune and good luck to this said baby, right? So I've done some research about other things that people actually use placentas for, because placenta holds such a huge amount of life force and essence in it. That is one of the reasons why it's good for different disease, different medicine, all of that. So it says when a mother consumes the placenta, called placenta for G, it is seen in both spiritual and practical ways. Reintegrations of life force. The placenta is thought to hold the essence of the child's and mother's shared life force. Eating it is a way of reclaiming that energy and resource that was given. And a lot of time in different stories, people will tell you that the hospital keep their placenta, and or they will tell them they cannot keep it, and or most people just don't know that they can keep their placenta, so they don't even ask to keep their placenta. And you wonder what the hospital does with all these placentas, right? Because they're just collecting placentas from mothers who have just given birth. So let's get into a little bit more protection and bounding. Spiritually, consuming it can symbolize strengthening and binding between mother and child and offering continuous protection. So there's this actual ritual that some moms do where they would use their menstrual and they will put it on a bracelet, and they'll both also have, the mom will have a bracelet and the baby will have a bracelet, and they'll say some sort of ritual basically to put like a protection thing on the bracelet. And if the mom's bracelet breaks, that means something has happened to your child. And or if the child's bracelet breaks, that means something was protected and the bracelet did its job. But usually the mom will know that the child is in trouble because the bracelet will break. So the mom and the child has this unbreakable bond between them, even through birth. And it starts with the placenta and all the things that that connects you to your baby. And it says cleansing the portal. Birth is often seen as an opening a spiritual doorway. Eating or ritualizing the placenta is believed to close the portal and protects the mother from spiritual attack, right? So now let's get to the cultural traditions around the placenta. Different cultures treat the placenta in high symbolic ways. Haitian voodoo and African tradition, the placenta is often buried with rituals, sometimes under a tree, to root the child to the earth and ancestors. This is believed to give the child strength, protection, and long life. Native American tribes, some tribes buried the placenta on a tribal land to spiritually bind the child to their people or to their land. right? So now when you go to a random hospital and a random nurse or a random doctor don't take your placenta, you don't know what happened to this placenta. So you really don't know what's to expect. It's just a whole lot. And Maoris, New Zealand, the placenta is returned to the earth, often buried in the homeland. This acknowledges the placenta as the baby's first home, which is true. That's where the baby basically got all its nourishment and everything from, the fluid of the mom and the placenta. So it is very, very true that, the placenta will be held in such high regard, because it's literally the sac that holds the baby for 9 months and keeps the baby healthy. In Chinese medicine, the placenta, zi qi, has been dried and used in medicine for vitality, fertility, and recovery. It is believed to replenish qi, life force. QI, life force. So you see, a lot of places, and even I have even believed that or heard that a lot of people who have, what do you call this disease? Who have, I believe it's lupus, actually use the placenta to make pills to take in order to help them live longer, or to, I don't know, it helps with the disease. And I believe, from what I remember hearing in an interview, don't quote me on this is all alleged, that Nick Cannon, that is one of the reasons he's having so many children, is because he ended up using the placenta of all these babies to make medicine for himself. Like I said, do not quote me on this. I remember hearing that a long time ago. When you thought you heard something and then you search on the internet, you just can never find where you heard this thing from. Yes, so maybe it's just something that came to my head and it just made sense anyway, but I'm pretty sure he said that in an interview or something. And then Indonesian and Filipino customs, placentas may be cleansed, wrapped, and buried with ritual objects to guard the child against spirits. You see how important this thing is? Western modern practice, some mothers have the placenta encapsulated into pills to tinctures, believed to help this postpartum recovery. So it helped with postpartum and all that stuff. Benefits of the placenta. The fluid in the tissue of the placenta are rich in stem cells, which also I believe is it's good for to keep you younger, stem cells and all that stuff. Growth factors aid in healthy generations and strengthening the immune system. Hormones support mood, lactations, and emotional balance post-trauma. Yeah. And iron and nourishment helps to replenish what is lost during childbirth, supporting energy and recovery. Protective components. Some traditions believe that the amniotic fluid in the membranes carries spiritual protection, shielding the child from malevolent spirits or illness. Yes, so this placenta is a big deal. And I don't think a lot of people, especially in the United States, realize how important the placenta is and why they should probably take it home and do some sort of ritual that's going to help the child in the long run, and or you, because they're taking it in the hospital and doing something with it. Anyways, that's my take on the whole placenta. Do your own research on this. This is all for entertainment purposes only, so do not come for me. Do your own research, okay? Because from the culture that I'm from, I have heard a lot of amazing things about placenta. It's only here when I come here, people just throw it away or just leave it in the hospital, and I'm just like, why do you live in the hospital? Oh, I don't know. I just leave it in the hospital because I don't know what to do with it. So it makes sense that you would leave it there because you don't know what to do with it, because it's just a big blob of something, right? But there are places where people actually cook it and eat it, because it's part of you, it's part of, it carries so much nutrients that will nourish your body and the child's body. Hey guys, I'm Jenny and this is Shameless Plug. So I want to tell you guys about my Crown of Success manifestation book with easy, simple rituals and spells to manifest a life of abundance in your life. And those spells are so easy, even a child can do it. So this book is filled with different spells that I've learned over the years from my family, passed down from grandma and everything. And also those are spells that I've actually tried and I know that they work. So this book not only teach you step by step on the things that you can do that are so easy that a child can do it, but it tells you like the proper moon phase to use alchemy, manifesting with numbers, numerology, and also the days of the week that best fit for this particular spell. So it tells you the timing of when to practice the spell, the days of the week, the moon phase. It shows you all the colors of the candles that you should be using and different planets. So for example, I show you like planet Jupiter is for Thursdays and the hours of the days that you should be doing the spell. So this is an easy road opener spell. So I know a lot of people like to do like different spell work, but if your roads are blocked, of course your spells are not going to work. So it's good to unblock yourself first and then start using the spell, especially with the new years and the new days to come. And also I have some amazing spells in here. This is a powerful quick money spell, so if you end up buying for some money and you're just trying to get some money. And I even have some easy, powerful spell to win game of chance. So if you are a gambler, now I don't promote gambling, but if you are a gambler and you're just trying to make some money and trying to make sure you win, these spells will definitely help you. It tells you the best days to do it. So it says the best days to perform this spell is on a Thursday, Jupiter day. Jupiter is the planet of good fortune, luck, and expansion. Jupiter is the best day to perform spells that boost luck and increase your chance of success in any game of chance or any money spell, period. It has a list of so many spells that you can incorporate in your life with this new year to bring prosperity. And I even put some bonus spells on here, which for Saturday is a day to do like protection work. So I have a spell for like send back to senders. So I put some bonus spells on here, and then a protection with Archangel Michael. So there's so many spells on here. Removing the evil eye spell, so you can remove evil eye in your money and also in your everyday life. New Year home blessing spell, and I know it's been a few days since the new year started, but you can always do a home blessing spell any days of the week. As long as you need it, you could do it. So anyways, guys, this is my book. It's called Crown of Success by Jenny, and it's available on Amazon, the ebook and also the physical copying. So please grab a copy if you're interested in supporting this channel. This is a way to support the channel and to support me as well for putting out, you know, content every day for you guys to enjoy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this book, and I hope you go and grab your copy, whether it's the ebook or the physical copy. I say have a physical copy, but it's really up to how much, you know, your wallet and what you can afford. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Mwah. This is a shameless plug, so just check out my channel, okay? Love you guys. Mwah.